Welcome to the Gamerz realm. Welcome to the Gamerz realm. Yeah. DJ the gamer, yes I'm back. Go put out the bolo. No, that's not Mr. Switch, that's the homie CHRONOZ. Case you haven't heard, it's a brand new day. About to sneak into the game like a ninja way. And I will never hit my peak though. Yes, I'm a gamer, this the Geek Show. Early in the morning I be cooking, see just what I'm making. It'll wake you up, that's AWAKENBAKON. Other rappers gonna envy me. Wanna level up, yeah, I got my EXP. You better pack your bags, you gon' need a vacation. Father and a gamer like I'm DRAYSON. Moved up to a pro from a rookie. Shout out my man CHICHUKI. We coming stronger, case you could not tell. Now welcome to the Gamerz realm.
Yo, what's up? This is Gamerz Realm. This is episode 81. My name is CHRONOZ. I'm your host tonight, and with the co-host, I got Kotetsu.
What's going on, everyone? How's everyone doing this lovely Friday evening, afternoon, night, whatever time zone you guys are in?
We got our second co-host. We got Rab.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on, dude?
Not too much.
Pointing better.
And our guest of the hour.
And we have a special guest. We got DJ C Game Studios. What are you holding there?
What's happening? I'm cracking a fresh, icy, cold tab just for the show.
Oh, I thought that was a prop tab.
No, well, the prop one's here. The prop one's here. That is a full tab.
Oh, that makes me jealous.
Oh, that saccharine goodness.
How much did it cost you online?
Well, this one was my buddy found this down in at a Detroit liquor store. He was grabbing something to drink, and he looked in the cooler and goes, "Is that a 12 pack, like a fridge pack of Tab next to like the Diet Coke?" I was like, he's like, "I'm picking that up, $3.99. They're going for like $100 online right now." He just drops it at my doorstep. Wow. Like, here's for the show. I'm like, now we're gonna start the count all over again.
Heck yeah, because awesome. Hey man, I'm glad to have this opportunity with you. I've been watching you for a while, just kind of checking out what's happening. I did play your song when last time I had Tommy Tellerico. What was that song? I Want My Amico.
Oh, the Amigos. Yeah, I Want My Amico.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't ask permission that night, but I still used it. It
was awesome. I don't care. It was awesome. I was watching. That was cool.
Oh, if there's anyone that's going to strike you,
yeah,
lucky.
Right.
I'm safe.
No, I never would.
But I'm glad to have you here, given that chance to get to know you and learn more about you with your gaming history, music history, and talk some Amico, because that's what we love doing these days, because that's the new passion for me. So either way, let's get down with the amazing story. Let's find out and tell us about your gaming life story, how it all began.
Man, how it began. I used to live around the corner from my cousins. So they first got an Atari 2600. So that was like my first ever, besides like arcades, like going to the arcade and, playing Pac-Man or Asteroids or something like that. That was the first thing, but I was really young. I don't remember how young I was, but pretty young. But they got an Atari 2600. So like Asteroids, Combat, the biplanes, all that type of stuff, and then my dad was like, he's like, "Hey, I seen this new in television." And then one day, we saved up, and because back then they were like $200 or something in 81, 80, whatever it was. And we had the big old brown console floor standing TV, and he brought it and he hooked it up and he had it sitting on top of the TV. He goes, "Don't you touch that. That was like $200." And like, back then that was a lot of money. And like, he's like, this is better than Atari. We're going to be better than them around the corner. Like, he was all about the better graphics. We get to play sports games. They're going to look real, for the time. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not allowed to touch it. Okay. And then eventually, go ahead.
I was going to say it was $299, Chuck. So if someone mortgaged their house to get you that in television. Yeah,
well, he ended up getting it like it was like a special or a sale or something, because it was only like $200, because it was cheaper than the retail cost. That's the reason. But he was like saving up for it, because I used to remember hearing him talk about it, and I was like, oh my god, that's the coolest thing ever, But I didn't know much about it. I just knew it was the better than Atari. So I was like, okay, so what game do we have? and then eventually it made its way over to our couch, and it was like in the center of our couch, and it had poker and blackjack built in. So poker and blackjack was like the thing that I kind of learned. That's kind of how I learned cards, which I wasn't a fan of cards, but everyone in my family was. And I just tried to play a game through to get a win, to make the shifty eye dealer get all mad and his eyebrows go all wonky. And and that just made me laugh, like the shifty eye dealer. And then after that, like he got baseball, and we'd play baseball, like constantly playing baseball. And I'd steal bases, like he'd cuss at me, you just steal bases. You gotta play the game right, be fair. But so we'd always be yelling back and forth, and it was cool. I mean, it was fun. I'm not saying it was like bad. And then we got bowling, and that's when my mom would kind of join in. And so me, my mom, and my dad would play bowling. Then me and my mom would play bowling by ourselves. And I was like, man, and television's like my new favorite thing. And I go to my cousins, like, we got a better one. And they're like, no, Atari's the most popular. And like, no, television is better graphics. So it was like that first console war. I was finally like into video games.
You were part of that first war. Wow.
Oh, easily, yeah. And so I was like so about having the television. I wanted more games, but I'm a little kid, So then my mom and dad would go to like Kmart, and they'd have the little games under the clear, like the jewelry display freaking counter. And they got auto racing, they got Donkey Kong, Night Stalker, I'm trying to think, PGA golf. I used to see my dad and his friends and my uncle. They'd always stay up late. Like when I go to bed, I'd like literally sneak, and I mentioned this in the song, which is kind of funny. But I used to sneak around like the corner, like from the hallway, and I'd watch them, and they'd have like a bunch of beer and cigarettes and ashtrays, and they'd have like the console, like they would pull all the kitchen chairs up because back then you had the floor standing TV, and they just pulled it up in the front, and four of them, because you could play 4-player PGA golf, and they'd just be yelling and having a good time. And I was like, man, gaming, and that's what made me love video games. Like my dad turned me on to video games. And what do you say to Think I Speak when I ask, how does DJC constantly have personalized shirts every day? People demand answers, even if it comes down to brute force. Hey, maybe you'll get an answer very soon, and it might be available very soon somewhere.
Nice.
Stay tuned for that. Yeah. But yeah, after that, years went on, but I always had like a big thing in my heart for Intellivision. Like always, I kept playing it. And then our system died. And then I think it was 1989 or 90, the IMTV took over for Intellivision, and they re-released it with a new catalog. And my dad was like, hey, we just got a catalog in the mail. It says that'll repair our Intellivision for free if we buy like 3 games. So he ordered like 3 different games, which was like Chip Shot Super Pro Golf, which was like the upgraded golf game, and it was really cool. And I think we got Sub Hunt and another one or whatever. And we sent it in, and they sent it back. It was fixed. We played it for like 6 months, and it completely broke again.
Oh my gosh! And
I was like, oh man! At this point, the NES is out. I'm like, it was Chris. Like everybody was getting an NES. I finally got one. I was always behind. We never got everything right away. It was just like, but this person's got it across the street. Well, we're not that person,
Right.
But eventually, they would get me something big like that, and I knew that now I understand, like, wow, they probably are saving up to do that, because back then this stuff wasn't cheap, and NES, Super Mario Brothers, like I remember playing like Atari and Intellivision, and my buddy's like, I have a Nintendo Entertainment System, and he pulls out Super Mario Brothers, and I remember we were listening to it was like a Rap's Greatest Hits from like 86 or 87 or something. Or was this in the night? I can't remember what the year was, but and it was like LL Cool J, Go Cut Creator, and that was playing, and then we had the volume off on the TV, but we're smashing bricks. So every time I see like Super Mario smashing bricks, I think of that LL Cool J song. But anyways,
I feel that.
It's just like so because we used to always like jam music because you wouldn't really listen to the eventually that's an iconic song, obviously, in Super Mario. But like, yeah, we just jam like old rap tunes. Well, at the time, it wasn't old; it was new rap tunes at the time. But we'd play that, and I remember just playing Contra and CHRONOZ and the Karate Kid. I remember getting that was like it was terrible controls, terrible game, but I love it. And Robo Warrior, which is like an obscure one, Jellicoe game, awesome game. They're just like, I remember just trading back and forth, games for NES, and then getting into my next big love was like, everybody was getting into Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. So I never got those because like at that point my parents were like, dude, no, you're not getting any more stuff, And so I'd play it at my friends, but then now we're getting into, I'm trying to remember those years when it's like 16-bit was like what, 93, 94 era. I'm guessing something around that. Because I remember I finally had like a job. I got a job at like out of school at actually when I was still in like a senior in high school, I was like the Sears, like under the escalator they'd have like where you get like watch batteries or engravings. Like I worked at the little desk there,
right?
And, but we'd always like throw up like be back at this time, the little paper clock. But we'd like me and the person on the other side, she'd be like, let's go, and we just go shop in the mall or go just walk around the mall. And we'd always go to like Babbage's or Electronics Boutique or GameStop or whatever it was at the time. And I remember they're like TurboGrafx 16. And I was like, dude, I want a TurboGrafx 16. That sounds cool. So I was like always like the underdog console. I always wanted that. And I ended up picking up that. And what musical influences do I have? And is there any game soundtrack that he loves or inspired by? I'm really liking the video games live stuff right now, to be honest, that I thought we got with the gift. The Castlevania song, I think, is the most rocking. But anyways, after my thing, after TurboGrafx, like I bought like my favorite ones of all time were all the Bonk's Adventures, the Air Zonk, which is like the cyborg Bonk from the future. That it's like an amazing shooter, cool bosses. And the Turbo Duo, that's right, the Turbo Duo was coming out, and I saved up like everything I did, like the only job I had, the first job I had. I ended up getting fired because they thought like I was stealing from the register. I'm like, no, your registers are just old and crappy, and they don't like it was like at the end of the night it would print out like a ticker tape, and you had to turn that in with the money. They're like, well, this is off. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not ripping off like $2 for a watch battery, like. And so they fired me, and but I saved up enough. I think I made like it was like $300 for a Turbo Duo, and I was like, that's the new one. It's gonna have TurboGrafx CD and the chip, And I was like, oh, I'm so excited. And I bought it brand new. Lords of Thunder, Gate of Thunder, Bomberman. I loved playing Bomberman. Anyways, I spent a ton of time on TurboGrafx, but that was like my other like one that I still play today. Like in television, TurboGrafx. Those are some of my top systems. When I got into after that, it was probably 3DO, just like obscure.
Okay.
Because everyone else had like the PS1, and that was like. And at this time, the 3DO is on clearance. I'm like, I'm going to buy that, another underdog console, And of course, it's awful. But I mean, I do love the game. Has the best Road Rash, I'll give it that. The worst Doom. Has a good game called Theme Park, which was it had a lot of PC ports too, of like Shockwave and a couple other things. It was okay. It wasn't the greatest, but it's just really good memories of that, like Need for Speed. The Way of the Warrior, the Rob Zombie game that was just had that constant Thunder Kiss 65 on rotation. I'm like, oh my god, I'm over the song at this point. But yeah, and then obviously, right, but it was cool. It was cool to have that, and you had like the fatalities and everything in it, and you got the cheats, and from that point on, obviously, just kept going. I got all the way up to about Xbox One is probably the last thing I purchased. Well, besides Switch, I guess would be after that, but. Yeah, and I enjoyed the Switch too. I enjoyed Red Dead 2 on Xbox One. I think that'd probably be the best game I thought came out for that system. Rab is everywhere, always making good points. And no, but I really. He's on mute.
There was no point. It was fake.
Oh, and but yeah, anyways, so that's like my gaming history in a nutshell. I didn't want to like spend a million years on it.
Oh man, it's cool.
But yeah, so like right from the beginning to current, I'm except I don't have the PS5 or Xbox One X or anything. So
yeah, you're not missing out. So it's like it's right there. PS5's next to me, next to my PS5 is the Intellivision original. Then I got my Switch.
Yeah.
I would tell you right now, I play my Switch more than I do the PS5. Intellivision is getting close to being played more than the PS5. My son plays it more, but he's just...
And I get why the PS5 isn't, because they just, their library isn't that great this year. But
PS4 will do you.
Next year, but next year I think definitely next year is definitely going to be the year when this next gen is definitely going to kick off.
Yeah,
and have some great because you got to also look at pandemic definitely slowed down a lot of development and stuff.
I feel like a year, like almost a year and a half, almost a year and a half, really.
Yeah. So I feel, because I'm a little biased. I have a 5 and I have a X or a S, and I just PS5 Sony had an event last week, and they showed off some great stuff. So a lot of that stuff is either late this year or next year, and some was dated 2 years later. But I mean, they're definitely gonna have pickup on their games and stuff. So
they will make it a must-have system. It's just right now, it's like every system kind of comes into its own in its sophomore year. And this year was such a lost year. It's like next year feels like it's kind of now it feels like it'll be a launch system. Right now it's like it's a PS4 plus 2 games.
Yeah, and that's how it was with the other systems, where it's like PS4, when PS4 came out, it was everyone was like, do we really want to get one? Because I can get them for both right now, until they started saying, all right, we're done making stuff for this, and we're gonna have it for PS4 only. But then the PS4 only games were like freaking heavy hitters, so you're like, all right, now I'm gonna consider investing into this console. So yeah, just like you said, this year was we're gonna say these last 2 years were like lost years because of everything. But definitely,
I would say last 2 years. I agree with that.
I mean, that Ratchet and Clank looks beautiful.
Yeah,
let me tell you, such a great game.
Like, and what's that one, the zombie one that's coming out? I don't know if it's for Xbox or if it's
for Back 4 Blood. No,
Red something. It's like Red something. It was on the E3 thing for Xbox. It might have. Yeah, I think it was.
I know what you're talking about.
But it was like sweet, or was it vampires? I'm sorry, maybe it was vampires, not zombies.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
No, it's like where they starts off and they're in the convenient store messing around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that looks incredible.
Yeah, I forgot the name of that one, but Ratchet and Clank, like I've been a Ratchet and Clank fan since Deadlock. That's when I became a Ratchet and Clank fan. And this one is just, it's gonna be hard how they top their next one, because this one was probably, to me, is probably one of their best ones that I played. Just overall, just the gameplay, the visuals, how just everything runs, and how story works, and it's really good.
It's such weird times that we're living in, like right now, to have like systems come out, and then you talk about the Amico, like. That tries to come out, and they're like a year and a half behind on everything that they wanted to come out. Everybody's like, "Whoa, they're not coming out. They're lying." It's like, dude, like a year and a half behind on everything
for a second,
including your parts, including your manufacturing.
Yeah, did they pushed it back again? Right? What I thought it was supposed to be October this year.
Yeah, it's later.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, it's just like you said, like they have things. Yeah, like they have things. Like I always look at it this way. Like for me. I'll give an example. When they had the Sony event and they showed off Spider-Man 2 and they said, 2023. I said, you know what? Take as much time as you want to make this the best Spider-Man game I have ever had. Take all the time. I will understand if you like. I'm glad they say give us 2 years, or technically give us a year and a half. I'm like, that's fine. Give me the best experience. Make it better than the last 2 games you guys did. Take your time, and I feel like that's with the Amico. It's like they're trying, like the Amico isn't like Sony or Nintendo. They don't have that, but they're taking their time on trying to make this the best experience, or or let's say from my perspective, the best experience and the best reimagining or the best re-experience for those who had a previous one. so then they can say, yo, this is exactly what I expected. This is exactly what just the feeling of nostalgia. So I feel like, you know, they should take as much time as they need to make this the best product that they promise and the best product they can give out to everybody.
Yeah, and they're not Microsoft. They can't do like okay, everyone is going to buy an Xbox One, and you all have to have Kinect, and this thing is going to be on all the time, and it's going to be watching you, and you're going to be using this for your TV and stuff.
I hated that.
They can't screw up at that sort of level. They really have to come in and kind of get it mostly right from the start. So they really do need to be able to take their time, but also, you know, it was supposed to come out in October. They had talked. They had a potential release last October. Was their, you know, desired release before the pandemic, and then in July, August of last year, as the spike is happening, they realize they're not going to make the October date. So they say, okay, 6 months should be enough time. We should be able to do that with what's going on. And the situation only deteriorated more, so that never became.
I mean,
so
they've
given themselves multiple kind of dates because they thought they had to. When you look at some of these other systems, they're like, okay, we're going to come out soon. We'll do this as soon as we can. And I understand why they gave those dates, because if you don't give the date, you're like, okay, we're going to put this system out, but we're not going to tell you when. You're going to have a firestorm of people kind of against that. It kind of worked out that way anyway, so maybe they could have went that way to begin with. But I understand, like, you know, you put out the date, you hope you can make April. Doesn't look like April. Okay, so then back to October. Doesn't look like October. Just cut out the dates. We'll get it out when we get it out.
Exactly.
That's fine. You know, it's just
I'm totally fine with that too.
I've been waiting for me. I've been waiting for Metroid Prime 4 for forever.
Keep waiting.
And it keeps
keep waiting.
Yeah, I know. I keep waiting. I get frustrated. I was like, man, fuck this, man. Chill.
The best looking
this time.
The best looking numeral 4 in the galaxy, though, definitely. That's all we've seen of it.
Yeah, that's it.
It's same with Bayonetta. We have no idea when we're ever going to see that game.
So with the Miko coming out, for me, as I was more introduced to the Miko and television and all that within the past 2 years, it's just I'm okay and I wait because it's gonna be amazing once I get the opportunity. Some of you guys have already played it and you guys can say that it's been great and amazing. We'll talk that in a minute. But yeah, for me, it's just like I'm kind of glad I haven't played it yet, so I'm waiting for the opportunity. And when it does, it's just like get to it and enjoy it. But I want to get to something real quick with you, AC. Tell us about your music interests. When did your music get involved with your gaming? How did it all begin? And anything you got coming soon?
Well, it's funny because like I've done music since just out of high school, so it's always like, but gaming was always separate. I mean, I never like thought about doing like gaming music, like music for games, or even, I mean, maybe in a few songs over the years, you know, like. I would mention playing video games, or heck, I even have a couple where I mentioned playing in television. You know, what it is, you know, over time, you know, I moved out to California back in like in like 98, 99, and then I stayed out there and did music, played shows. I lived in Huntington Beach for about 3.5 years. So the whole Orange County, LA scene, you know, was real big around like starting like 2000s to about 2006. Like I was deep in that scene. You know, I met a lot of people. I was really good friends, and we did shows with a lot of people. But I met like System of a Down. You know,
really?
like hung out, partied. They did, you know, shows with everybody knew everybody. Alien Ant Farm. My good friends, 20 Dead Flower Children from Detroit, they were the whole reason I went out there. I've met everyone, you know, trying to think, Head PE, a lot of bands out there, Cottonmouth Kings. But anyways, yeah, the whole Orange County scene. So I started doing music out there, you know, kept doing music. And you know, what's funny is like, so when I moved out there, I eventually bought another and working in television. And we went into this house out there, and you know, and rent's insane in California. So even back then, so we were like, there was like 5 of us. There was 2 to each room and a person on the couch. Well, when I first moved out there, I was the guy on the couch. So I remember bringing my Turbo Duo and my original Intellivision, and my buddy Jason's like, dude, you got an Intellivision? He's like, let's play some Burger Time. I was like, oh, dude, let's. And anyways, we ended up going to. It was so insane, how fun it was to play those games. And this was not even that long ago, but think about that. That was kind of a long time ago, 2000, 2001. And we went to a Radio Shack when those were a thing. And
right.
even then they were kind of, but we went there and they still had the big old catalogs under on a kiosk. And I looked at the back and it said Tandy Vision games. I'm like, what is Tandy Vision? They're like, oh, those are Intellivision games. We have a huge warehouse full of those things. And at the time, still, it wasn't like gaming was big. You weren't think, oh, these will be worth something. You never, even then, you kind of didn't really think about that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm going to order some. So I ordered Hubert, Popeye. I got a couple just random games, and they came full shrink wrapped. It was unbelievable how great they looked, and I was like, but I still never thought oh, I need to keep these in a protective case or have to do it these are going to be worth a bunch of money. I mean, they literally had Super Pro Volleyball, the Spiker game that's worth $2,000. Stadium mud buggies, stuff like these Learning Fun 1 and 2, $3,000 now. And I'm talking about, I could have probably ordered whatever they had in their warehouse, and they were $15 a piece. Burger Time multiplayer would be amazing on Amico. And but that's the whole thing. Is it comes out of I always Intellivision was always in my life, and even when I was doing music, I was still referencing, and then I got to I came back here after 7.5. Yeah, it's been about 7.5 years. I moved back here, was doing music here. Ended up, kind of fizzling out and kind of doing family stuff, and then coming back, and I moved out of the house I grew up in and bought my own place. And anyways, we'll fast forward, kind of releasing music when I could. I was working full time, so I kind of put music in the back burner, and I was kind of mad at doing that. And so this past year, well, right before the pandemic, we're brand new records coming out. This brand new record, release it in 2020. Put it on Spotify and Apple and all that stuff. And it was no one really. It just wasn't happening. And I was okay. So I was what am I going to do? I'm stuck inside my house, and I'm and I was always at that point. I was a few years ago. I started really following retro gaming, homebrews for Intellivision. And I was and I kind of was watching this community, and I would always kind of jump in the chats here and there. Nothing big, and then at the sometime last year, I forgot when I started. I don't know if it was November or something. I was I'm going to start my official gaming channel for this. I'm what am I going to call it? I'm I'll just go with my band name. We'll just keep it the same thing, And so I was I'm going to put up my collection, because I was, especially during the pandemic,
amazing
was just collecting.
Mm-hmm.
Just was collecting to more, because all I was doing.
Is it real? Is it real? Can you please grab some?
Oh yeah, this stuff's real. It's not the banner like it was last time. Oh look, I even got an Amico disc.
Oh sweet.
But I had so I literally rebought, because these are real cheap, the Mattel ones. I rebought all those. So now my whole thing is everything complete in box. I have to have complete in box. I even have Amico shelves for when those are here. Those are for my Amico games.
Awesome.
And but in I have a very sad Switch collection. It's only 16 games, but it's getting there. I'm still behind on playing games for Switch too. But yeah, no, so I ended up doing that, and then I was really excited for Amico. Started really doing some Amico content. We started. I was on. Or actually, I know Tommy hit me up a few times going, dude, I'm loving your content. I'm oh, wow, that's, the guy that's making the new Intellivision. That's pretty sweet. And then I was invited on Amico All Access. So I was on there with OEB Pete and everyone. And then we did Amico After Dark with the Retro Bro, with Rab and everyone. And it just, this community just kept growing and growing, as you saw, and then we had that big event in Pennsylvania. We finally all met kind of face to face, and we wished everyone else could have came out there too. There was a lot of people that couldn't make it. That was just probably one of the greatest times of my life in a long time, And right before I went out there was a month or two before, we were in the studio, and I was like, he's like, and Eric is the other half of the DJC band. And I go, Eric, man, I was like, we need to make like, I was like, I kind of want to make like a Intellivision song. I'm like, literally like an Amico song. I'm like, I'm so stoked for this console. I'm like, I hope it doesn't come off as cheesy, but I kind of really want to make a song called like I Want My Amico. And I really, I was like, oh man. And then we wrote it, I wrote it, and then he's like,
amazing song.
He writes all the music. Like Eric writes. The guy is like, I'm always like the face of everything, but like as far as the DJC band, like if it wasn't for him doing all the music and production, I'm just like the lyrical writer. That's pretty much all. I'm lyrics. I can't play an instrument. I wish I could. He plays all instruments, programs, does synthesizer, plays bass and guitar,
Get this man a kazoo.
Yeah, he can play kazoo, But yeah, maybe I could do the triangle or like the tambourine, something simple.
That worked.
The cowbell. But yeah, so it came down to, I was like, dude, let's write this and make it. So he's like, oh, I have an idea for a beat and kind of like a retro gaming sound, and then. I was like, okay, and then we'll throw some like Intellivision sounds in there, like baseball and Astro Smash, a couple stuff, and I was like, and I remember at the Crayola event, I forgot, like I put it on a USB drive, and I was gonna give it to Tommy, just be like, dude, what do you think of this? Because I didn't want to play it and have people go, that's cheesy, it's stupid. What are you serious? So I was like, this is kind of a stupid thing I made, but let me know what you think, And then I think before I left, I was like, hey, make sure you check out that USB drive. Don't lose it. And I was like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have done that, because it's not, who am I to make an Intellivision-based song, but I didn't want to release it, and and I think it was Amigo After Dark. I was like, why don't we play it? And then because John, the Retro Bro, he was like, I have this big collage of our Pennsylvania, the Crayola event and everything, and he goes, I want to kind of need a song. He goes, you mind if I use that as the background to the collage of pictures from that weekend? And I was like, dude, yeah, let's do it. I think that's the first time Tommy heard it. He's like, dude, was that the USB drive you gave me? So then he hits me up. He goes, dude, can you do an album like that? And I was like, yeah, I would love to. I'm like, my whole, like my love of Intellivision and gaming in general, but Intellivision and music mixing, I was like, yeah, I could do that. He's like, you could really make it. I was like, dude, I will have an album done by the end of the month because I just want to get in the studio. And I told Eric, I was like, dude, let's do a full Intellivision album. And Tommy's like, dude, I'll promote it. He goes, I don't want nothing. Just use whatever you need. He goes, I'll give you artwork if you want to do like physical. And
nice.
And I was like, dude, that's so awesome. And so I was like, dude, let's do this. Let's make an album. So literally like the last, I'd say like the second week of August all the way to the end of August, I was like in studio. Me and Eric were working like 8-10 hour days in the studio, like don't. But it was like, it wasn't like terrible work. It was, like we're like, oh, this sucks that we're doing it. It was like the most fun I've had in like years.
Yeah. Because
we were just like nose to the grindstone, but we're creating something we love. I'm like, we're throwing all the game sounds in there, and I'm writing an Astro Smash song. I'm writing a Cloudy Mountain song. And and I'm doing I did a disco bowling song. It's a disco song. I literally straight up BG'd that, like that, like style of song. I did a frog bog song where there's two frogs battle rapping awesome. Over a bog, and like Cloudy Mountains, like this big. I forgot how it goes. It's like But it's like this whole like like a very like a medieval kind of knights in armor, because it's supposed to be was D&D, but it's Cloudy Mountain, and so I try to bring that whole thing to like a chorus of that. Then I did a Utopia song, and it was all about the rebels are coming, and what the rebels are saying, and they're trying to trash the island, and we did. And then I did that. The second thing I did is I released that Night Stalker song, which I believe you actually have.
I have. I want my Miko. I got Night Stalker. Let me know what you want to do.
If you want, like I know some people have heard it already, but I know people have heard the Amigo song a million times. So I was like, if you want to play Night Stalker, just to kind of have them check that out. But that was like the second single we released, and those are all on Spotify and Amazon, Apple, and all that stuff as well. But that I kind of did a really cheapy kind of video to this. It's just a bunch of like gameplay stuff kind of meshed together, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, this if you want to play
early
that
MTV video.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Night Stalker?
Yeah, sure.
All right, here goes some Night Stalker.
Woke up in a cave, dark, no light. My heart beating fast and I'm filled with fright. Walking through the dark caverns, twists and turns. Around the bend, to my concern. Cobwebs getting thicker, who made these things? Something too big that darkness brings. Gotta find my weapon, where did it go? Around another turn, I see a glow. A yellow halo, I see my phaser. Another way to fight back, got my laser. Now I hear a sound, no human mechanic. And this is where I start to panic. Then I see a structure up ahead. A place to hide, so I won't be dead. Yeah, I found a place, down I'll hunker, then the robot comes up to my bunker. Just trying to survive, just wanna stay alive. With a yellow blaster gonna try, robot parts gonna fly. Gonna make it out of this nightmare cave, only have to worry about myself to save. All you robots going down, until you're both flying on the ground. Just trying to survive, just wanna stay alive. With a yellow blaster gonna try, robot parts gonna fly. Gonna make it out of this nightmare cave, only have to worry about myself to save. All you robots going down, until you're both flying on the ground. Robot turned around and I made my dash. Then I spun around and made my blast. Laser connected and parts in the air. Lo and behold, there was a pair. The second one, blue and chrome. Shot another laser just past my dome. I hit the floor, then I tumbled down. That robot sinister evil frown. Phaser blast at the same time. Whose pixel will cross the line? Past my face, hair got the roast. Then I looked up and he was toast. Adrenaline coursing, mind a craze. Will I ever find a way out of this maze? Rammed down a hall right to the end. A slow-moving shadow, is this a friend? Just trying to survive, just wanna stay alive. With a yellow blaster gonna try, robot parts gonna fly. Gonna make it out of this nightmare cave, only have to worry about myself to save. All you robots going down, until you're both flying on the ground. Just trying to survive, just wanna stay alive. With a yellow blaster gonna try, robot parts gonna fly. Gonna make it out of this nightmare cave, only have to worry about myself to save. All you robots going down, until you're both flying on the ground. Wait, what's that? That ain't right. This ain't no friend, shadow getting wider. Now I come upon a giant spider. Ain't no rain, wash a spider away. Gotta get by and live another day. Web to the face, I got stuck real quick. Arms, legs, and fingers stick. I see all the bats flying above me. Everything in this maze don't love me. The spider approaches, I can feel its breath. Nowhere to go, now here comes death. Hearing a squeal, what was that sound? A bat hits my head and I fell to the ground. Paralyzed for a second, but not too bad. Took off real fast, now the spider is mad. Back to the bunker, done with this bout. Then I see another robot coming out. Just trying to survive, just wanna stay alive. With a yellow blaster gonna try, robot parts gonna fly. Gonna make it out of this nightmare cave, only have to worry about myself to save. All you robots going down, until you're both flying on the ground. Just trying to survive, just wanna stay alive. With a yellow blaster gonna try, robot parts gonna fly. Gonna make it out of this nightmare cave, only have to worry about myself to save. All you robots going down, until you're both flying on the ground.
Amazing. Oh wow.
That's
I like the sound.
So
It sounds nice.
So good.
Sounds
so
nice.
Thank you, I appreciate that. No, that was like really fun, and it was like after that is when we really dug into this album and did it. So it's like you're gonna have. So thanks, Panda. So we're really gonna have like 10 songs on the album. So the Amico song, the Night Stalker song. Thanks, Lance. And then and I do have another one we'll debut in a second. I was gonna kind of if you wanted to, I have a teaser reel that has all 10, a snippet from all 10 songs that are going to be on this album. So this will be the first time anyone's ever heard this. Since we're into music right now, if you wanted to play that, we can get right to the the smoking teaser reel, if you will.
All right.
So this is basically just going to give you a snippet of all 10 songs, everything. So it'll kind of hopefully get you excited.
Here we go. Here we go.
I keep these memories, don't want them to end. But Miko is my pal, my buddy, my friend. Let's come together again. Mom, dad, sister, brother, and best friend. Up to 8 and play, let's hit the couch. This is just the best day. Now I hear a sound, no human mechanic, and this is where I start to panic. Then I see a structure up ahead, a place to hide so I won't be dead. Yeah, I found a place, down I'll hunker. Then the robot comes up to my bunkers. Just trying to survive, just wanna stay alive. With a yellow blaster gonna try, robot park's gonna fly. Jump, that's what we do. I'm eating more bugs than you. Dust sets in and it's time to eat. Gray gonna win, better jumpy feet. Not so fast, Pink Frog here, I'm gonna wipe the pond with you. Let's make that clear. It's cute to think that you can win, right? It's getting dark out, time to take my flight. Up in the air, grabbing mosquitoes and whippoorwills. My skills in this bog straight giving you chills. Gotta eat a lot of fish so I can grow. Sure got a lot of dangers down below. I dart away when I see that shark. See less of my friends, I know he made his mark. So beautiful down here, but a dangerous place. Look out for the bluefish, he's taking our space. Wanna get big enough so I can eat him too, then deal with the shark. Yeah, what you gonna do? Here comes the barrage and it's coming fast. And I have a bad feeling that we might not last. I see something spinning and it's making a sound. Everything explodes if it hits the ground. I shot it quick, boy that was close. My situation, time to diagnose. I'm pretty competent, but to my dismissal, here comes the heat-seeking missile. Burning it, smash them all down. Where does he come from? How much does he make? He bluffs and he grins, but guaranteed no fake. Should I work up the courage to go up to him? And I ask all these questions when he's got that grin. And I better wait, cause I see that frown. Gotta come back later when it's upside down. Check the idea, what's he all about? Looking left and right with a frown on his mouth. Who you gonna hit? The way as quiet as a mouse, but you only see him grin when you lose to the house. Hold down the side button, yeah, don't let go till the white dots in my sight. Now I'm dead in my backswing, but before I let go, gotta set my curve. Then the ball's released, going down the lanes, pins getting what they deserve. And the ball connects, chicken legs fine, at least that's my take. Rolling over end to my surprise, New York cheesecake. Gonna go to the bowling alley, gonna get real funkified. This is a game, just so close. Living room ballpark is for most. We cheer, we just have fun. Go Red, go! Scored another run. I should have stayed on base, instead I ran. It's a good day to be an Intellivision fan. An Intellivision fan. Take me out to that ball game. A controller for me and a friend. Flipping the overlays gently now, cause it's never fun when they bend. Take me out to this ball game. Let me hear the Intellivision crowd. A community of fans all over the world. Homer visitor, we're gonna get loud. A big hurricane is coming this way. Sky was blue, it's now turned gray. Wind's picking up, is this the end? I'ma lose everything that I defend. I dealt with pirates, dealt with floods. I got no hugs, and I've dealt with slugs. Replanted the corn, but there's smoke in the air. They're still trying to take me down, it ain't fair. The rebels are coming, the rebels are coming. It's started uprising. The rebels are coming, the rebels are coming, the rebels are coming. It's all over. The rebels are coming, the rebels are here, and that's who we are. You dropped the ball, we've raised the bar. That we need to take down some trees. We'll move on and plant the seeds. We'll count our arrows in our quiver. We need a boat to cross the river and a key just to get past the gate. Around the fire we'll stay up late, planning our journey through the caves. And hopefully we dig no graves. Be positive
Sweet, sweet, sweet.
Man, the range on this guy.
How'd you like the little disco songs?
Yeah,
I
saw
loved
that.
it.
And I was, yeah, I saw that. Oh, that must be the disco song he was talking about.
Yeah, that was the bowling. That reminded me of like remember the group in like 2010, like Management.
I don't know.
I was getting that vibe. I don't just the range on all of this. It was like just amazing. Like that last one, that Cloudy Mountain, just reminded me of like the Bloodhound Gang does a drinking song.
You know, someone else mentioned
great.
something like that when they heard that. That's cool. I'm glad it has that vibe. Because I was trying to do like I don't know, like a, you know, because you want that medieval knights in armor and battling dragons kind of song, but it's always like you always have. I've thought about like, you know, drinking, like you said, drinking songs like da da da. You're holding up your ale and you're singing this, you know, before you go into battle, and so it was like kind of funny. And then the dip of the disco song, I was like, oh my god, I want to start doing disco songs. Like after we did that, because we went through so many revisions and like layering, and I was like, oh my god, I would love to do another disco song, no matter what it's about. It's just so funny on how disco was ever written. Like it's just so weird. I'm like looking up like 1960s and 70s like slang sayings, like groovy, like obviously groovy, but you know, groovy and well, you'll hear it all. I literally like looked them up, like Far Out, and you know, just all the stuff. And it's funny because some of the stuff you still use now, or they're doing comebacks, you know, is like what people say. But yeah, so it was so much fun, and I do. Thanks, Panda Sub. I appreciate that, and everyone in chat. I'm sorry, I'm not answering. I'm seeing. Yeah. But it's and then we do have a full song. Actually, I'm going to debut a song on Gamerz Realm. It's the baseball song. You guys are going to hear it in its entirety. It is the Intellivision baseball song in a little bit, you know. But anyways, yeah, it was just so much fun to make, you know, and thanks to Intellivision and Tommy for letting me use like the content. You know, he's like, yeah, whatever you want, you know, like so like we just all those game sounds are genuine game sounds. You know, from the Intellivision, and it's like it's so much fun because like I think that's the thing. People are like, oh, like there's the arrows in the quiver, like you know, like all the little sounds like from Cloudy Mountain.
Yeah, I love that.
Like Utopia, like Utopia. Such I don't know, because you said you got a new or you got an original Intellivision. What games do you all have for your original one?
Most of them. I'm up to about 95 on.
Oh, you're at 90. CHRONOZ, what do you have as far as like the original games?
Original games? Okay, let's see. I got them here. I'm not. You guys have it all.
Rab,
I'm in the works.
I think I'm only like 80 something. So you got more than I do, Rab.
Space Armada.
Very good game.
I love baseball.
Baseball's awesome.
Star Strike.
Very cool game.
Auto racing.
That's a hard. Once you learn the control, it's really fun.
Yeah,
it's all about that.
It took me a while. I got a hang of it, and it got more funner. So it's cool.
It gets crazy. Then you like spin off, and when you're trying to do those round the turn ones, like down or up, you'll like spin off into the forest or the lake.
I haven't played it yet, but I have it. Poker and blackjack.
That is, I played that last weekend. I went up to my buddy's cabin. But we came in and I was like, "You want to play some poker and blackjack?" He's like, "What?" I was like, "Old Intellivision." I'm like, straight up 1979 poker and blackjack, and it was so much fun.
Triple action, boxing, tennis, and Astro Smash.
Oh, Astro Smash, yes. I played that for like hours. I think I went for like 2.5 hours on a run on that, which is my top like time. I forgot my score was. I said it probably a million times, but that's. Astro Smash, I probably put the most hours into playing in a sitting.
So it's great. I had to clean my controllers a little bit after, from the previous owner. It was just very dusty, but it works like a beauty right now.
Utopia is one, and when you said you had Night Stalker or no?
Me? No, I don't. I wish.
Night Stalker, Utopia, and Burger Time. I would definitely recommend. Burger Time is probably one of the best ports. Yes. It's the best port. Yeah. Really. And I refurbished old arcades, and I had an original Burger Time stand-up arcade, and I got rid of it because I'm like, I would rather play the Intellivision port. It's like, to me, it's the ultimate. Like, I love it, at least, But yeah. I love the original in television. Still play it.
What's your favorite in television, or in favorite television game, or favorite game of all time? Is that hard?
Favorite game
to do?
As far as my favorite in television game, like I always come back to either, and it's almost a tie, but I'm going to go bowling. Bowling is always my favorite. It's like if you ever read another great one I recommend to get. I mean, definitely read the manual on how, because it's intricate for the time it was, because you got to remember that the original television was a 16-bit machine, or at least I think the processing, the memory power, but not graphically, I guess you could say. I don't know how that works, but it was like you'd have to set your bowler, line him up, and then you'd have to you hold down one of the side buttons, and the white circle on the lane would go, and then when you let that go, that's where your ball's going to land. And then as he's in his backswing and about to go forward, that's when you hit kind of like a clock on the disc. You hit your angle. And then there's even a loft button where you can hit that before he releases, and it'll put an extra curve on it. So it's like an intricate way to actually make whatever type of shot you want, from a left hand or right hand. It's like, and once you learn those controls, it's amazing. Like we used to have bowling tournaments. To the point where we were all just getting strikes, but then you just be off by one of those things, and then you'd miss a pin, But it was like so much fun. That is my top, and then baseball is my number. It's almost right there with bowling, but I have a love for bowling more.
Did you get the sense with what they're doing with cornhole, kind of breaking down the mechanics, where you're going to work on kind of the aim and then work on the strength of the throw, and like break out those as two activities instead of one throwing motion to try and get three things going to kind of break it out? That's kind of maybe behind it.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, because now they have the time to do that. I think they were just trying to make it simple, but now they can put it to where and if I'm not mistaken, I think there's different controls you could set up for that game too. So if you have just a child playing, you could set it to where, it's just a throw and, when you release, But if you have a couple adults that are really into cornhole, you can set the settings for, what they're trying to do now is optimize that kind of well, we did this and it plays great, but why don't we add this, this, and this, and add it to where you can set this, and then and if you do this, and maybe, so it's all these different, which is kind of what they were showing in the video, that when they were, and everybody was like, oh, is that the game? It's no, they're just optimizing and adding even more stuff, since they have the kind of time to do this while they're waiting for other things, so they're kind of just taking all these games and just adding and doing other stuff to it, just because they have the time to do that while other things are being worked on. So when you see kind of stuff like that, people are like, oh, and I was like, no, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing.
That's game development.
Right. But and you as well as I do, Rab, we played the machine. We had good 2 days to play that for many hours, and it was fun. I really loved Astro Smash. I mean, that was my coming out of it.
Here's the dirty secret, and here's how bad of reviewers we are. There was about 21 games among those three systems that Tommy brought to Pennsylvania. We only played about 15 of them. There was a couple that we hadn't played, hadn't seen, and we didn't try.
Well,
we were so involved with a few of those. I mean, a couple of them, they weren't announced, so it's can we play the new one? I think everyone's kind of respectful about that. But there was a few ones we really haven't seen the footage of. They were on the menu, and everyone's just so busy going back. I want to retry of skiing. I want to redo,
skiing. Can't wait.
Astro Smash. We've seen so much Astro Smash, and we're all still wanting to play it.
It's funny because that's the one. Because I mean, obviously everybody's like, "Oh, we've seen a million things at Astro Smash," but I was like, because we were getting deep into levels on some, me and my buddy were playing it, and we were like, oh man, we got to UFOs, and we got to one of the bosses, and then we're like, man, we're really getting deep into this game. So people that say that the crap ain't done, or that it's all fake, a scam, it's only 2 levels. Dude, that game was in depth, and we got far into it, and I saw other people getting farther. I saw people playing battle tanks. I never did that though.
Yep.
What?
And skiing was another one I watched people, but I didn't play.
I played that. That was fun.
Yeah, it looked real, especially when you hit a tree, it's boom, he's like a rag doll.
I haven't even seen battle tanks. Shit.
Yeah, it was and then we played Flying Tigers, was probably the brain. That one was just announced before the event, so it was we kind of so we went in there, and I think that was the only one that was a new one that's not going to be. It might be, but I don't think it's going to be available when they launch.
It won't be at launch.
yeah, so like that was, but it was cool. We got to play like 3 levels into that.
Yeah.
Rigid Force. Oh, I mean, I never played it on the other systems, but Rigid Force looked beautiful. Like that looked like, I love shooters. I mean, obviously turbo graphics, right? Rigid Force looked amazing. But I kept going back to Astro Smash. I'm like, it might be nostalgia. I loved Astro Smash. What was the other ones? Oh, the Finnegan Fox. Everybody was playing Finnegan Fox. Really cool platformer. Obviously, my jaw hit the ground. And
it does that a lot.
Yeah, it does that when that game comes up a lot. And I'm trying to think of like the other ones. Oh, Shark was like a really fun one too. Of the Evil Knievel and the emoji charades, I'm way more sold on now. I was like, whoa. Yeah. I was like, these are fun. The emoji charades, I had a blast playing. Like that one I'm looking forward to. And so now when I see like this other trivia stuff and the, what was it, Back Talk Party and the card games, playing Hearts and what else?
Fades and
yeah. So like all the card games, and then what else was on there? Like the Brain Duel. I could see how that screen is going to be so cool to everybody having a screen, and you're just going, and then you do your thing, and then it pops up on the TV, and the next person goes, and when everybody has a personal screen, whether it be your cell phone or these controllers, like they don't realize the cool party system this is going to be. The good, like I just think it's going to be a party machine for trivia and that type of games, like the charades games, the Brain Duel games, the win, lose, or draw type of games, like whatever that one's called, But I think it's going to be good. I think that having a screen on a controller done the correct way, because I know they did like little LCD stuff back on like the Dreamcast and stuff like that, but something that's interactive like a phone built into your controller, that's huge. And people, until they get it in their hands and play it and feel how good it is, like this feels like a cross between a D-pad and a giant flat thumbstick, and it's pressure sensitive. It plays beautiful. It does. But who am I? That's just my opinion.
So let's get. Tell me about. I've been wanting to ask because the difference between the controllers. How do you love the new controllers when you played it?
It was funny. So I brought. And I think I have it sitting up here, but I had brought my dad's original one, the one that broke like twice. So I had everybody sign that. That was at at John's house that evening. And I was playing around with the controller, holding the controller, going, man, blah, blah, blah. And that's when Tommy came down, was like, here, you guys want to check out some controllers. So I got some footage of the controllers. So I had the new one, and I was holding the old one and the new one at the same time. And it was like, I keep forgetting to like look up at the camera. But I'd hold both of them at the same time. They're almost they were very similar in both kind of the weight and the build. Because I always thought like the Miko one was like a brick, like it was huge, but it isn't. It's comfortable. It's and if this is what's funny, and I found this out the other day because I guess I didn't like the disc is the exact same size as the original one.
Oh,
like it's so and it has the only thing they fixed is like when you press on the old one, it's like tears up your thumb after like hours of play doing this, and then the buttons on the side buttons. They moved them to where they're on the bottom here and they're on the top here, and they're concaved and dipped in so your fingers kind of fall into them. It feels really comfortable to play. Like, and I mean, if it didn't, I'd say that I really would. Like, I'd still love it. I mean, I would say, oh, maybe they should get a traditional controller, but I liked it. I think it responded. I think this is great for shooters because playing the shooters is like, It was like Rigid Force. You can go around when you play Shark and you turn in your, because you're pressing down like, and you're going like this, you're kind of turning your fish around in circles, and you're moving your ship. And then the Rigid Force thing where they did the 2-player co-op, you're like the orb, like the option, and you're able to collect or protect the ship, and you can never die. So that person that helps you as the 2-player, it's amazing. Because like that you imagine like being able to, where's the Muppets, right? To being able to control like your option or your shield, like I don't find many games where you can control, where someone else can control that for you and literally protect you and grab all the upgrades while you're trying to blast stuff. But this was a really great controller for shooters. So playing Rigid Force with this, I had a blast. and the Flying Tigers game too. That was more of a vertical shooter. But that was real fun too. Except I have a video where I screwed up. I was like, I'm gonna go old school because we were always talking about like flipping the controller like the old one up and down. But I really found I was playing it sideways more than I thought I would. But I kept saying, oh, I'm gonna flip it, but I forgot. Like you have to, because obviously if you just flip it, you don't want it to orientate while you're playing because a lot of times it's motion control. So you have to pause, flip it the way you want it, then unpause, and it'll orientate to that thing. But I found out too late and lost a few of my guys when I was playing with Nick.
Rab, what is your reviews on the controllers, the new controllers?
Ooh, what are my reviews on the controllers? I thought they're really good. I've been a conceptual fan of the controller for quite a while. I think that cross between a traditional D-pad and an analog stick, it takes a lot of the benefits of what a D-pad gives you. You know, a slight subtle movement that you can do that you can't really do with the thumbstick without maybe overshooting where you want to go, or you want to quickly go right, quickly go left, quickly go up, or to the northeast. It's a little less accurate on a thumbstick when you're trying to quickly maneuver and hit those, you know, cardinal directions or the cross directions. Whereas with the D-pad, it can be very accurate, but maybe, you know, hitting northeast or northwest or southeast or southwest might be a little less accurate or something. You have a lot more versatility there. Plus, you can give a gentle roll and stuff, which you really can't do with a D-pad. I just found the disc very versatile, very comfortable. It didn't take very long to get used to. What took me a little while to get used to was using the touchpad as a quick tap button for things like jumping in Finnegan Fox. Took me a bit of time to get used to. Not that it was too awkward after about 5 minutes, but you're just used to a button, so it takes me some time to get used to. Now, my kids will play on tablets all day, so they might actually love that experience. And getting to play with those little stick-on buttons that they have, they're very responsive. They are really good feel buttons, and that's not something that you typically have with you on a phone. So, you know, to be able to use those might be a really good solution for something like Finnegan Fox. But the versatility of that screen, the fact that things were changing up, and for situations where I could look down and see like, oh, I want to use this, or this is my special feature I want to use now, and you can kind of cycle through, or you have a few things going on the screen. I think in Finnegan Fox, you have a couple different places on the screen you can do to like switch your season or to jump. So, you know, and depending on what season you are, you have something different seeing on the screen. You can also switch your weapon. So that was a different place to see what your weapon was. So it's an instant menu right there. That sort of stuff I think is very versatile, and it's the best of what the Dreamcast was trying to do with the VMU and was able to give us with a little, a very little poor screen. I love the concept because the Wii U had such potential to have truly asymmetric games where you're doing something on the screen, you're doing something else on the TV. And if you don't have to be immersed all the time in exactly what's going on the TV because a zombie's about to eat your face any given millisecond that you move your attention away from the TV, if you can look at that screen to do something, like say you're playing Bomb Squad, or you're playing Safecracker, or you're playing like a detective, you're playing a game of Clue or something, and you're getting your own little information on the screen, it just opens up a lot of play possibility that I think a lot of developers don't really think about. Because when they're using a phone, if they're making a mobile game on a phone, you're mostly making a game that is single player. And you don't have multiple screens, and you have a very small play service. If you're making a game that's for the PC, you can have multiple screens and multiple players, but it tends to be online. So it's not, you're not doing silly stuff and goofing around and stuff that will make the other person crack up because you did something wrong or something just ridiculous. It's just not that kind of experience. And on a console, you know, you're either playing these single player immersive quests where either you're kind of zoned in like on a route, so you're open world and you don't really know what you're doing unless you've been playing the game for the last 100 hours, then you really have a feel for what you're doing. I think the screen gives a lot of potential. If I don't know kind of what I'm supposed to do in a game and I don't want to feel like an idiot and pause it, maybe the screen can give me like a dummy clue about what I'm supposed to do. You know, Grandma is not someone who plays a lot of games with me, and I want her to play Night Stalker. Well, Grandma, just avoid the spider, avoid the spider. What are you talking about? And maybe it shows on there as like a blinking light of where the spider is. I mean, it can show you things that, and that's not what Night Stalker did. We didn't get to see Night Stalker. But it can show you things on your screen that maybe assist you in your handicap if you're not a great player, can give you clues, and just, it gives the potential for games that just don't exist right now, and that I think is really, really exciting. Otherwise, it functions a lot like a regular controller.
Yeah.
Buttons felt nice.
I love like how you could use it as a menu, like the menu screen for like Finnegan Fox was on there.
Yeah,
so it's kind of neat. So instead of having to pause the game, go to the menu, select what you want to highlight, and then going back to the game, you can just look down, press. I'm switching to sword. I'm switching to axe. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
When we saw the controller, what about when did Tommy first show us the controller and stuff? CHRONOZ was like back in like March or February or something like that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
we had him on
the podcast.
Yeah, like he showed us the controller and how it looked. I thought it was just like you said. It's looked very smooth, and you know, and what DJC said, you don't have to worry about murdering your fingers because of the ridges.
Those ridges are gone; they're all smooth.
Yeah, like because you know, I mean. Like there's if I had my camera on, I'd have my controller and show my modded controller. There's always a joke they always say, hey, for some convenient reason when you talk about controllers, you have a controller next to you, and it's like, cause I just got done playing something and that's why. But you know, like for me, like I mobile game and I'm on my controller on my console, so I'm kind of used to that. But to kind of see that, you know, they're
7
really
months ago.
oh, okay. So just to see that they're really like taking in consideration of, okay, we want this to be very accessible, but not something where it feels like it's stiff. You know what I'm saying? Like you were saying about like what's a game like Shark, how you can move your character, the shark around smoothly without feeling like you're hitting a limitation. But even though that limitation keeps your controller stick from flying off everywhere, it just kind of feels like I'm not fully in control. But with the controller, for what I saw, it's like, okay, my technically my thumb or my finger or whatever is the controller, so it's like a natural motion of, you know, natural motion. So I think that's pretty cool. And to go with Rab said about the screen and how VMU tried to do it with theirs, I'm not. CHRONOZ says I'm the youngin, but I'm not that young. I'm in my early 30s, so I'm there where the retro stuff started. I'm there, but you know, like, and I remember Dreamcast was like one of my favorite consoles, and the VMU was cool. But then you kind of ask yourself, what was the point of the screen at the end of the day? You know, like what was the real uses for that little screen? It was a memory card in a way, but then it's like, oh, you can still use the screen and do all this other stuff outside of it. But then it's like, what was the cool part of it was like, if you play certain games, you see little, like, you know, the sprite characters there, but that was it. There was no other reason for it. It was like
a insert your own Tamagotchi into a game.
Yeah, exactly.
What if Sega didn't have to fold? I mean, I know it continued for a few years in Japan, but you know, it's much less funding and stuff. What if they had like a full 5 or 7 years? Would we have seen more interesting stuff come out of that VMU? That's kind of the interest I think I'd like to see with this.
Yeah. So I think you know, like you said, that second screen could definitely be used for more of not taking the attention, like you said. And going back to, I'm just like dissecting everything what everybody said. Like when you said about the Wii U, I 100% agree. It was cool with the concept, what it was. And as somebody was telling me that I was talking to somebody about it, and it was like the precursor to the Switch. I'm like, I agree. The Wii U was that precursor to the Switch. But it was just like you said, like, besides you really using it for map stuff, it's really inconvenient because you have to look down and then menu and then look back up while everything is still going live. So I got what they were trying to do, and a lot of developers had a hard time trying to make games for that because it was like, how can we utilize? And I think a lot of people, someone brought it to my attention. Someone said a lot of people said, oh, because, you know, Nintendo was just they didn't mess with third party. And I was like, I don't think it was the reason. They just developed third-party developers. As third-party developers couldn't make games for. Playing a fighting game on that is like, I think I played Injustice on that. It's so hard because it's this brick of a controller.
Right.
Well,
tablet controller.
Well, Nintendo Yeah. Nintendo also kind of burned their bridges with third-party developers over the course of the N64 and the GameCube, as far as not being able to put stuff on there because of size limitations. And then with the Wii, they were like, what are we doing with this? No, we're sticking with like Xbox 360 and PS3. Those are the real systems. That's where people are moving. And then everyone went to the Wii. So then all the developers were like, okay, we'll throw something on the Wii. But then they threw it on the Wii, but they didn't optimize it for the Wii. It was like not a game that felt like it was for motion control or for that system. And then it was the same thing with the Wii U. Like a couple like, oh, okay, we'll go ahead and we'll put this game on. But like Zombie U made good use of that of the gamepad. Star Fox, but I mean there was just so few and far between that did.
That's why I think I think it was really only first parties were like understood. It was like, okay, this is so we have to develop. It's like that we have to develop the core game with the gamepad before we do anything. Because if we don't develop like this core with the gamepad, we can't make our games. So but
that's kind of how this is. You know, it's like I said, pretty much all these games for the Amico are built around that controller. You know, having that controller, so that makes sense. Instead of having all these games, then you just happen to have a controller with a touchscreen on it for no reason. You know, kind of like so like when you're actually looking at the controller and building the game around it. Like that, I mean, you've probably seen some of those bomb squad things, like where you have to cut the wire. Like, so if everybody has so say you have 4 people, one person has to cut the red wire at the same time the other person cuts the blue wire, and then someone has to say something, someone has to spin the dial. You know, one of those like co-op, once again, party style games where you're really utilizing that screen. Like, I thought that was like so cool, like watching someone cut a wire on the screen. You know. And the same with the cards, throwing them up on the TV, or the dice, throwing them up on the TV, shaking them on the controller. I just think it's simple. It's nothing like breakthrough, but it's fun. You know, it's like simple fun. Which the whole purpose of this. Yeah, simple arcade, pick up and play fun. That's all. Yeah,
and they even mentioned that too. They were like, we're not trying to compete. We're really just trying to make this as like that couch co-op party kind of thing. We have like exactly. Yeah.
Which is some of my favorite memories is sitting with friends in the same room instead of, like, I'm not saying online's not fun too, but I've had some insane memories of just people, like I said, I used to do tournaments and,
that's how it started.
It's just, and then even in like arcades playing Mortal Kombat, you're there, right there, trying to like, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, just anything where you're at you're next to each other, like, actually playing together. I dig that. I dig the whole concept of it, and I think there's a lot of people out there who just don't get it, and they just hate it so much because they don't understand that's what it is, or they don't even want that, and that's why they hate it so much, so no one else can like it. So it's kind of funny.
I think nowadays we're just in an age where like accessibility is key. So if you have a friend who lives over here, why not just have a console or something that you can just hop online and just play with them instead of like feeling like, oh man, we can't play this unless you're in the same house. Which, if you realize, that's like you said, that's how it started. That's what we like.
Going back to the old school, really.
Like when my cousin used to have birthdays, like we would all just be on. Super NES was the thing back then, so we were just we were all in one house, huge, like crap load of people, and everyone be playing Mortal Kombat, in that old school big tube TV, everyone be playing everyone be playing Mortal Kombat. So and then Mario Party, Mario Party has more of an effect when you have people around. So I will 100% understand. I think couch co-op has more of an effect when you play with people because like this it's hard to explain. It's like weird chemistry that you can't break down.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. I mean, gaming has really went in this direction because it's on a computer, or because it's using computer software. It's really moved towards online. But, board games are not an online experience. We all have friends on, I don't want to say Facebook, but, Twitter or Instagram or Discord or whatever social media platform you're on, TikTok. I don't know. But it's not like you're going to a party with the people that you know on your phone screen. You still do that stuff in person. You still have that in-person experience. So, you know, it's just interesting that games really have moved towards, if you want to play together, the online experience is kind of been the default. And it's kind of, I think, swung back in the past couple of years where I see more and more co-op being advertised than there used to be. So, I mean, that's a good thing in general, but it's a good time for something like this.
And you even see this, like, and the Switch is a perfect example, you know, because, and I love the Switch, I think it's great, but you're seeing a lot of these old school graphical games. Like, you notice how, like, a lot of the most popular games are these remade ones, or even new ones that have, like, the pixel art, or have, like, that 16-bit look to them. Like, everybody's going back to, like, we've all seen the cinematic, amazing, like, stuff, you know, from the Xbox and PS5, and that's amazing, but what about those fun, like, pixel art kind of games, those little platformers, those little shooters, you know, that have the simple 16-bit, you know, style art, or like 2.5D kind of art. I think that's like really made a huge comeback, at least in the last couple of years. And it's just like, those are really some of those fun games. Like I should say, Jeff from Go Game Go sent me a copy of that Cotton reboot for Switch. And you could play as the original pixel art from the arcade, or the new, like, remade, like I always call it like cartoon style, or like not cell shaded, but cartoon style kind of. But it's
cell animation.
But it's still kind of 16-bitish, you know, maybe a little more than that. But it's like everybody kind of likes that look. It's because it's almost like an art style for video games, and I think. And me being like a TurboGrafx, and 16-bit really was when everything was started being about graphics. You know, I mean, you know, a little bit in the Nintendo, but like when you got into Sega and Super Nintendo and TurboGrafx, it was, oh man, who has the better graphics? What does it look? Well, but it was that art style. Now it's like, I love that art style. You know,
the ghost of George Plimpton would disagree with you, Chuck.
A picture's worth 1,000 words, or whatever.
I agree with that. Like that's starting to be more of the like that kind of art, that retro feel of an art. So like, there's a game that I always refer to. It's called oh my gosh, I forgot. I just saw it on my library, but it's called Code Something, and it's like a action RPG, but Crosscode. It's called Crosscode. Okay. It's like an action RPG. Oh
yeah, I almost bought that the other day.
It's really good. It gives me that. It definitely gives me that Super NES RPG vibe to the game. You know, it's not voiced, but it's just, you definitely get that kind of vibe of like, am I playing a SNES game, or am I on my Xbox and playing? So it's definitely cool, and I definitely can't wait to see the new Ninja Turtles that they're bringing back.
Dude,
that's I like tribute games and
like Streets of Rage and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, like they're definitely like, just, you know, yes, it's like a modern kind of look, but it still gives you that nostalgia, like how, because I remember my cousin had a Genesis and he had Streets of Rage 1 and 2, and I love those games. I never played 3. Everyone was like, don't bother with 3. 1 and 2 are good. Now I got 4, and I'm like, oh man, 4 is just like, and then it's like pays homage to those who've played the games. Like you have Axel, Blaze, and Adam were like the OGs, and you have your other OGs who have been remastered. So I think, definitely, like you said, definitely the retro scene is definitely trying to cement that, hey, we haven't gone anywhere. We're still like, that gameplay is still here.
It is, and I really think, as far as the Amico coming out, like I think people are like, they underestimate how popular that style is, and that they're literally going, hey, we're going to do that simple old school stuff, pick up and play, these style graphics, nothing insane. It's gonna take off. I know it is, because it's just fun. And once you get it in your hands, you're just gonna be like, this is exactly what I thought. Because if I was like scared, like before we each like played it and touched the controller, I was like, am I gonna not like the controller? Is this not gonna? Because I was like, I've been talking about how I'm excited about it on my channel like for months, you know. And so I was excited about the concept of how it looked, what they're gonna play, what the games are gonna be, but how is it gonna feel? how is it going to play? And it was what I expected, which is, and maybe even a little bit more. Like so I'm excited about it because it is the simple. It is kind of retro. It is kind of throwback. But that's kind of the new thing now, is that stuff's coming back so hard.
And
so
it's easy to pick up and play. There's no
and it's so simple. You don't have to worry about it. Like like literally Astro Smash, your ship selection. You don't have to go, well, should I go through the menu? No, you just go on there. You go, okay, I'll pick this ship. Ready to play. Like that easy. Like it's not like it takes 2 seconds to learn how to play almost every game. There's never where I was like, well, what do you hit for? It was very simple, which is the whole purpose of it. But felt great too.
Okay. I wanted to ask you something. What was your favorite overall gaming memory? Could be from television or just overall everything you've played. Like anything with family or just something that just always brings back
the family memories. I mean, I have a million of them, and like I kind of talked about those earlier. Like that's, I'd say, oh man, I have kind of two. Which one is not more? It's more or less because something happened while we were playing games. But I used to love this, and like back in the day, me and my buddy would play at, Armor Battle, which is the tank game for Intellivision, where you kind of play on a map and you each have 2 tanks, and it takes 3 hits to destroy each tank, and you're kind of going behind stuff. You can also lay an invisible mine. So on your overlay, like I think it was like number 6 was like lay your mine. So like you could drive down the road. They're not paying attention where you're setting it, so you press, and you drive away. So now in that area you've laid a mine. They don't know it's there because it's invisible. They run over it, they explode. So like me and my buddy would play Armor Battle rounds constantly. Well, he'd get up and go to the bathroom, and that's you always got to mess with someone when they go to the bathroom, right? Like unplug their controller, change the thing, So like my buddy would go to the bathroom, and I would go ahead and lay. So you have your reserve tank, behind the shed or the house. I'd go and lay an invisible mine right in front of his reserve, then drive over to where his current tank was, lay a visible mine there. Then I'd drive back where I was. So he'd pick up the game. He'd be like, all right, you ready to go down? Boom, blows up his tank. And he's like, oh, I forgot my reserve. It turns on. Boom, it blows up right away because the thing's right next to it. And then
you must be too excited.
Similar to that, like we played Intellivision bowling all the time, and we had a buddy of mine, my buddy Justin, that and me and there was like 4 or 5 of us playing bowling tournaments, and he was like kicking our butt, man. And he was like left-handed, so we always set it up for left-handed curves. So he's like, okay, if you guys are ready to lose again, so he goes to the bathroom, and so we set him up as a right-handed player, and so he comes back and he's like, we're all taking our turns. I think he was like 4th player. So he's like, what? Gutter ball? What the heck? Okay, I'll get it. What the heck? And he didn't realize it's like the 3rd turn. He's like, you guys changed me to the wrong side. Like, so it's like always, I just like, that's once again, having everybody in the same room so you could do stuff like that and just kind of mess with people and have fun. But the one cool memory, me and my buddy Jason were in the band house, like we said, in California. And, I'm a Midwest guy. I'm from the Detroit area, so we don't have many earthquakes. So I had my first experience with an earthquake. I remember we were sitting on the floor, kind of like this, and we had the Intellivision there because television you really can't, it's got those phone cords, So we're kind of just sitting there. We're playing Burger Time, getting really far into Burger Time. Got really, really so much fun. And we're going like this, and I had like a beer. So I was like, man, I gotta go to the bathroom, and I was like, why do I feel like I'm dizzy? Well, I didn't realize like the whole ground was going like this. They call it like a rolling earthquake, which kind of freaked me out. I'm like, dude, I'm not buzzed. What is wrong with me? And he goes, and my buddy comes out of the room. He goes, oh my God, we're having an earthquake right now. It's on the TV. And they're like, what? Like, what's going on? It starts going like this. And I'm like, I like jump on the couch. I'm like, and my buddy's on the ground like this with a controller. He's like, dude, are you serious? And the cool thing is Intellivision 1 and 9's pause, so you can still pause. And we're like, dude. And so it was like my first, and the vertical blinds are doing this, like swinging, like someone just went like that with them. And it was like the creepiest feeling I'd ever had, but it was while we were playing Burger Time.
Wow.
So those are like my top 3 memories.
That's scary as heck, but kind of cool.
Oh, dude. And then there was some that were like violent shaking ones too, like smaller versions of those. that
Where?
freaked
Wait,
me out.
where were you at?
In Cali.
California. I was in
Yeah.
Huntington Beach at the
Oh
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna
And there's a
I live
couple
in
that went
Cali.
like this. It was like, and I was like, oh, no.
Yeah,
I don't like
I live
that.
in
Going
Cali.
back to the Midwest. Screw this.
I live in Cali, so like if we don't get the tornadoes and the crazy storms, we get like
those,
heat
though.
waves. We get
Yeah.
heat waves and earthquakes out here. So
And fire.
We get floods and tornadoes.
and fires. Forgot it. Yeah, fires. So,
Yeah.
like the fires are just like so. Like I swear, like one time I was driving to work, and I was like, "What's going on?" And you see like these blazing, like we have like nothing but like brush near like one of the freeways. It's like 134 freeway. There's like nothing but brush, and like there's a fire. Like a fire just out of nowhere, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's a fire," and everyone's keep going to work because it's like fires are just like in the summer they're like expected. It's like we're expected to see like at least 5 or 6 fires out here.
You get the days where the ash is falling from the sky. Like we got that. I think it was 05, 06 or 04, 05.
You mean in Cali?
Yeah, I was living in Long Beach at that time, and it was the point we had to go out and wear dust masks because it was like it literally was just the whole like you couldn't. It was maybe the sun might have been a little bit of orange, but it was like a gray sky. And because the fires were like right, I don't even know where they were. They were because I was working in Newport Beach, going back to Long Beach where I lived, and it was still all down PCH. It was just raining ashes. You're wiping it like your windshield wiper. Yeah, like, that's how close like a lot of those fires got at that year. So I can only imagine how they are now. You know?
Yeah, like I think it was 2008, 2009. I was going to Santa Clarita, like that's where I used to live. We're going there, and then you see all this nice blue sky and everything, and then we start getting closer, and we're like, "Why is the heck? Why is the sun and the sky so freaking yellow? What the heck's going on?" And we get closer, and it's like just black, just smoke just cover the sky, and we realize that there's like this huge fire over there. So as I get home, we're getting ready to leave because we all gotta evacuate because it's like it's that bad. So it's like, hey, we gotta
it gets scary, man. It gets scary.
Yeah, luckily, you know, my aunt was actually closest to the fire. Like I was with my dad, and my dad was like, I'm gonna drop you off and go get your aunt. So when he went to get my aunt, they were like, the fire is like in her backyard, so they had to get everybody out of there. Luckily, you know, luckily the pool like covered like was like the border between the fire and the house. So if that fire decided to jump, it would have to get to the pool, and it was like all concrete around there. So she would have been, I think she would have been okay, you know, but still it was like right behind her house. And I can only imagine how
even the wind picks up, those flames will just catch something else, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
The wind shifts or just one structure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we get fires too. I think we get fires more than earthquakes. Or like we get I love waking up to seeing people say, "You feel the earthquake? Earthquake? Did you feel it?" I'm like, "No, I didn't feel it."
Yeah, I would sleep through a lot of the small ones. Yeah, I would, and I'd be like, "Oh, there was."
Yeah.
Because when I was in Long Beach, I lived upstairs. I was like on the second level. I was like, "Oh, it's gonna all collapse and crumble and kill me."
Yeah.
Now it's all redone down there. They like knocked half those buildings. They left the historic fronts of the building I was in. They knocked down everything else. I was like, how can you do that and call it historic? I'm like,
historic facade.
Like here, they just restore the whole building. They don't knock it down and leave the front like where the brand is, you know. But that's what it is now. Yeah.
Well, it was nice talking to you guys. I gotta shut out, but it was nice to meet you, Rab. Nice to meet you, DJC. Great music, by the way.
Thank you.
Man. And I will definitely talk to you sometime, Chronos. And you guys have a good rest of the show.
Stopping by, dude.
You as well, man.
Thanks,
yeah, of course.
You have a good night, man.
Have a good night.
Right.
Well, if you wanted to, I don't know if you guys could say before I see a few people leave, and I know we are getting like an hour and a half. If you wanted to debut the baseball song, maybe now might be a good time for that, I guess.
All right. Let's do that.
So this is the actual basebable song.
Because it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out.
I'm locating it. Where are you? And you are here.
baseball park. I see the running man all taking the marks. Outfield, infield, and shortstop too. I like the red team, how about you? I guess you like blue, well that's okay. The sun's out bright, it's a beautiful day. I got my peanuts and my Cracker Jacks. Hey, that guy was out and that's just facts. You grabbing a cold one, I'll take one too. Stuck in a pickle, what's red gonna do? Blue tagged him out, it's getting heated. He went for the base and he should have retreated. Red stepped up and hit a pop fly. Thought third out, oh my, my fingers slipped and I hit third base lane. Gotta get my head back in the game. Take me out to that ball game, a controller for me and a friend. Flipping the overlays gently now, cause it's never fun when they bend. Take me out to this ball game, let me hear the Intellivision crowd. A community of fans all over the world, home or visitor, we're gonna get loud. Bottom of the fourth with a man on first. My favorite man at bat, and you think he's the worst. Well, we all have our favorites, that's okay. A crack to the bat, ball's on its way. Heading towards the stands, ain't this fun? As it flies over, we yell home run. Both men running all around the bases. The joy on the fans of that team's faces. Next one's a grounder, can they grab it fast? Mitts to the ground, but it just rolls past. So this is a game, it's just so close. Living room ballpark is for most. We all, we cheer, we just have fun. Go Red, go! Scored another run. I should have stayed on base instead I ran. It's a good day to be an Intellivision fan. An Intellivision fan. Take me out to that ball game, a controller for me and a friend. Flipping the overlays gently now, cause it's never fun when they bend. Take me out to this ball game, let me hear the Intellivision crowd. A community of fans all over the world, home or visitor, we're gonna get loud. Fans, friends, together again. I hope this good time really has no end. I keep on winning, sorry for that. You can try again when you're up to bat. Making new friends wherever I go. With the classic system and the same with Amico. Don't need graphics, running man is great. Give me a reason he's not fun, I'll wait. Back to the game, bottom of the ninth inning. Keep the score, can you tell me who's winning? Don't really matter, just having fun. Just stole a base and got another run. Slide, 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 I think it's funny. Nice day for a game, it's still sunny. Thanks to the fans, it's what it's about. This is DJC signing out. Take me out to that ball game, a controller for me and a friend. Flipping the overlays gently now, cause it's never fun when they bend. Take me out to this ball game, let me hear the Intellivision crowd. A community of fans all over the world, home or visitor, we're gonna get loud.
Let me know when I can get that in the car for real. That is so dope.
Oh my God, Rab's jaw's hitting the floor.
Oh my Lord, yeah, that was a great.
That was sweet.
Thanks.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, that was so much fun to make too. Like, oh, just so much fun.
I'm just like, I'm blown. Like, I know I said range before, but just like some of these, like this to me, I'm like, I have that perky late 90s Britpop vibe, and you're just like, it's just so much fun. And you had like Night Stalker, you had like Royksop synthesizers or something going on in there. It's just like, it's really really good mix you've done here.
It's a good time to be a television fan.
And it just talk about the community. Like that's why I like kind of made, like controller for you and a friend, and slipping the overlays gently now. It's never fun when they bend, like that was the whole thing about like baseball, is those overlays were important for the get your field. And thanks, Shondell. And it just like, but it was just fun. It was just like the community of fans and just how we all come together, and the whole purpose of the new console. And whenever it comes, I'm fine waiting for whenever it comes out. I'm not angry. I love it. Speaking of that, like I have started kind of a new thing on my channel. I started a thing called Amico Talk, where I'm going to basically once a week I'm going to do like a different thing on Amico, just like I did controllers this week, and I'm going to talk about the console itself and the design, and then I'm going to talk about different games, and I'm going to try to do like a top 5 games that I played, because I watched a lot more than I did interact and actually play during like the event, but I mean, I did play a lot of my favorites. I think that's probably why. Because they had like amazing games like Dino Blasters. I never got the chance to play, but I was watching that 4-player and I was just like, I cannot wait to get this. But yeah, it's just this is just a fan tribute. I'm like so happy about this, and we're putting together a actual website. So it'll be an actual website. We're just trimming it up and finishing it up, and it might at least we might turn it on to where we can you can at least buy the album and some merch. Right now I think we have about 12 or 15 different t-shirts, because I got a lot of weird shirts, but I was like, I try to get like the weird ones or like the cool color ones. We have like a couple hats and some mugs and stuff like that, but we got to figure out like the pricing and stuff, and if it's worth it, because like literally I'm basically going to have it printed when I get an order. It'll be shipped to my house, and then I have to ship it out, so it depends on, I'm going to try it for maybe a couple weeks and see what happens. But if it ends up to where I'm making like nothing, like I'm probably going to end up going through like a t-shirt company and having a link. But as far as the music you'll be able to actually purchase on that website. It'll give you the code, you get the download. So you get the albums, you get the, you'll be supporting us, so it's because me and Eric put a lot of work into this. But we had, like I said, it was every song, it was like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like every song is like you're reliving the story of that song, like the Utopia. Few days where we're just doing all this Utopia stuff, and it was all about the islands and the rebels, and then all the disco stuff it was like Kingpin and disco 70s stuff with like the bowling, and it was just, hey, and there he is, there's Eric J right there from DJC. This is the guy that made all the music.
Good beats.
Is it on fire? Is it on fire, sir?
Yes. You guys are on fire for sure. Amazing,
he does an amazing. He's all that music is him. All the production, the mixing, the music, that is all Eric. And so like a lot of people see me as, like I said, the face of this band, but like like that's the guy. Like without him, like I would just be rapping over a fart or something. It's just not the same. So yes, so there you go. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's really what I had for So I hope you guys like that little.
Only other guy in the elevator wasn't me.
This has definitely been a great experience to get to know you. Did you have any questions for DJC Retro? But you already know him well. Anyone?
Yeah, we've run into each other once or twice.
Yeah, you guys know.
I ate a lot of his bagels.
Yeah, a ton of bagels. No, I'm ecstatic to see Chuck still out there putting up a bunch of stuff. I know there's a lot of people that have kind of waited for some news on the Amico front. So it's a little bit drier than it has been in past months, but Chuck's always got some great videos. So
this will keep us
check
rolling,
them out. It's a lot of fun.
They'll definitely keep us going for a little bit. Got some music, from DJC Game Studios and his buddy. What's his name again?
Eric.
Eric.
We call him. Yep.
Eric, you guys got good stuff for us, and we're waiting for it so we can get some music, get some merch. I do have your in the description. I do have your Twitter and your YouTube. That way we can find you, locate you, and we can check you out for those who are viewing. We also have Retro Advisory Boards, also Twitter and YouTube in the description as well. And Kotetsu was here earlier, so follow these guys. Make sure you guys follow them, and you don't have to follow me. Just I'm glad you guys are here today, but yeah, you can click on subscribe if you want to.
Follow all of us.
Follow everyone. Follow each other. It's been a great night. It's been a great experience.
It's been fun. This is awesome, man. I'd love to come back again. It's just fun talking gaming, talking memories.
Yes, it's just memories and just how everything just unfolds from your childhood to now.
Yeah.
And we go into a lot of deep topics, and I'm sure along the time as the time goes, we'll have some more Miko to talk about, and that kind of thing. So it's been an amazing night. I will eventually let me see. Hold on. Let me make sure I got it here. someone said something real quick. Thanks for that, Lance. Great channels, everyone. Let's see. I will end the in a few minutes end the podcast. I'm going to end it with I Want My Miko. It'll finish off with that, and right after that, if GJC
oldie but goodie.
Yeah, it's an oldie but goodie. It's a classic now.
We'll enjoy a classic song, and then from there you guys can stay on board, or you guys can, we'll talk for a few seconds afterwards, or like I said, you guys can head out. It's up to you guys. But for those who are watching, do you guys have any last minute things you guys want to before we end tonight?
I think I'm good. I was gonna say pretty soon. Just stay tuned to my YouTube channel and of course Twitter and stuff too. But I'm gonna hopefully make an announcement within the next week or so of the website, the new website where you can get the album and everything. And then we got some really some behind the scenes plans for some cool physical stuff. Talking vinyl, USB drives, like those ones that look like cassette tapes, which I thought is really cool. It's like a cassette tape that opens up and it's like a USB drive. So we're going to do like a couple things like that, maybe some singles or the album on there. And then I want to do like this cool vinyl with some cool artwork, which I'll have to let people know when that comes out. But yeah, so just stay tuned to the channel. And like I said, it'll kind of update you on what's going on with merch, music, and where you can get it.
Sweet. A retro advisory board.
Huh? What?
Anything you want? Any last words?
No last words. This guy. Both these guys. No, just great. Tonight was great. I'm loving the tracks on this new album. I can't wait for it to come out. The fact that you are having this much fun going out, making songs, being the goofiest guy in the Amico scene before the console's even out.
Before it's even out, I got my shelves just waiting.
It's what it's about. It's what it's about. I'm just so. I love your channel, man. CHRONOZ,
Thank you guys, for this amazing night. This is great, as we wait for the Amico to come by. As the amazing team, Tommy Tillerico, and the whole team in the television is doing their thing moving forward, and for us to get to know the JC Game Studios and to have, to have Kotetsu and a retro advisory board, and it was great. It was a great night.
Awesome,
it's all about for us to be together as a great community. I will be reposting this on Twitter in the next few days because I want people to come back to the episode to catch up some of these exclusives for the night, and keep on moving from there. Let's stay connected. Let's keep enjoying the good times again with the great music. I'm really looking forward to playing it in my car very soon. I love jamming because I drive a distance to work and back, and I'm just popping in the music, and I got some good stuff to keep as we wait, and and it's fine as long as it takes. But other than that,
tide you over.
Thank you everyone for coming by. Everyone from Lance to I can't say Shondell River. Everyone
Lance
jumped in.
Quite a few.
The whole shebang, the whole gang that came by. Thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you again, Retro Advisory Board. Thank you also for being awesome, DJ C. You are an amazing man.
Always fun. Thank you.
And we'll see you guys all later. I'll catch you guys right after this, and let's check out I Want My Amico, because that's what we're gonna get soon. Take care.
Playing us out.
Baseball with my dad, a natural smash with all the free time that I had. Invite friends over, armor battle and skiing. In television, part of my childhood, my beam. Buzz bomb, a shark, you know I'm a win. Gonna make the fish bigger when I nip at the fin. Can't pick a favorite, cause I just love them all. Little kid, bad time, still watch from the hall. My dad missed friends up late, no yawn. PGA golf, 4-player, it's on. How do I keep these memories? Don't want them to end. Amico is my pal, my buddy, my friend. Let's come together again. Mom, dad, sister, brother, and best friend. friend. Up to 8 can play, let's hit the couch, this is just the best day. Yeah, I think you get the gist, family game night, just got a whole new twist. Television meme still strong, fan for life, that's why I sing this song. Basketball, boxing, hockey's got the pucks. Can't wait to get home and play Rigid Force Redux. Space Battle, Space Spartans. Playing Utopia, the rebels I'm hoarding. Staying up, playing games. You know I'm a talker, but I bet I'll get farther than you, a Night Stalker. Robots coming at me, but my friends got my back. Hit pause for a second, hit the fridge for a snack. Biplane, shoot 'em up, going into free fall. When you thought I was gone, I'm coming back for y'all. Farkle in spades, poker, blackjack too. And I need my amigo, bet you want one too. This is just why I sing, yes, the amigo is a very real thing. I want something to play, see video games in a whole new way. Don't try to rack your brain, comes in many colors, I love the wood grain. Disc is the way to go, the controller itself, it seals the show.
Let's try television. I bet it's great doing all those television commercials. I bet you get to keep all the games.
Memories from the past so vivid start to fade. New experience in the now. Memories are made all in the same room. I see the faces smile so good cause I haven't even done this in a while. A group of my friends, no more Alicardi. Gotta find the code for Amigo, let's party. Hardcore, casual, it don't really matter. Playing some baseball, hey batter batter. Love the controllers, the color touch screen. An experience like you never even seen. I'm DJ